I wanted to begin my talk by saying how much I love being a woman. Uh, I think I still will begin with that. I do really love being a woman. I'm very proud to stand tall in front of you today as a woman. But I have to say that that hasn't always been true. I grew up in a somewhat liberal family, but I envied my only son brother. I did not envy his Game Boy, but what I did envy was that he was never asked to clear the table or ever to iron my school uniform for me. The reason I bring up this bias is because biases have shaped who I have become, and they shape what we all become. In the 1900s, Hippocrates coined the term hysteria based on the Greek word for the female uterus. Hence, you will only hear of women being hysterical or in hysterics. Men are never hysterical because they don't have a uterus, I suppose. Similarly, these biases, perhaps all the way from 1900 BC and Hippocrates, have bled into the modern healthcare system. Healthcare biases and equity in healthcare and nutrition are severely lacking. What am I talking about? If there's a hospital across the street, I can go and see that doctor, and any number of the men in this room can go and visit that doctor as well, right? In fact, there's a special doctor for women that men have no business meeting. They're called gynecologists. But the only time we would go to a gynecologist is if a woman were pregnant. And that is really to fulfill what a woman's primary purpose on this earth is, truly considered to be childbearing. But what happens to a woman's health leading up to the point where she is to bear children or after she bears children? Where is the equity in the healthcare system? Have you ever heard of a pediatrician that specializes in female children who are athletes? A call from a friend a few weeks ago really got me thinking. She's raising a brilliant national swimming champion who wasn't able to keep up with her training. And when she took me through some of the suggestions her male swimming coach had made, I was mortified. They were male specific. There was no way this girl in the prime of her pubescent years was ever going to be able to cope and remain a champion, or even in all possibility have a healthy future physically if she kept on eating the way she was eating. She was misguided. So what makes men and women different? The obvious answer really is anatomy, body parts, physiology, the way those organs and body parts behave, right? And in women, our physiology changes every week. 4 weeks in a month, every week, your body has a different need from healthcare and from nutrition. That's how complicated we really are. Beautifully made to perfection, and yet complicated but not fully understood. Any of you went to your doctor with lab reports, simple blood draw, and your doctor asked you which part of your menstrual cycle you were in when you drew that blood? You would think that if you were losing large amounts of iron through bleeding from your body, that it would affect the blood all over in your body and would affect the results of your tests. In fact, if you took an iron test to your doctor, did they even ask you about which phase you were in? Why does this bias exist? How many lab tests actually mention, oh, if you're a woman, the normal range is from X to Y, and if you're a man, the normal range is A to B. There are so few tests. Why does this happen? This happens because it's easier to study men, it's cheaper to study men, and there are some misguided beliefs about how we're actually protecting women by not studying them because of the potential harmful effects of a study. And then here we are, not really knowing much about how women are reacting to the very same things that the men are reacting because we're just not studying them. And we've talked about mental health in quite a few of the talks. I think every single talk touched about how mental health for women is being affected. One of the biggest reasons why women, when they walk into a doctor's office, are not analyzed properly or taken seriously is because a lot of what they're experiencing is blamed on, I want to say hysteria, but I'm not going to say hysteria. It's blamed on anxiety and stress. And what that results in is more anxiety and stress. So now, not only do you have a physiological problem, you have a mental health disorder. It's a really nice, convenient sandwich that we're all snacking on every now and then. In 2015, the NIH in London specifically conducted a study where there was a 3-year delay in 6 out of 11 types of cancers in women because they were made to visit clinics 3 times more often than their male counterparts were to be taken seriously. Thyroid disorders like Hashimoto's and Graves', reproductive hidden autoimmune conditions like adenomyosis and endometriosis can on average take up to 10 to 14 years to be diagnosed. And by then, they've really done quite a bit of damage to the system. This, I wouldn't even need to read a study for, because being a nutritionist and not even a doctor, I've had to push clients into getting diagnosis for conditions that are so obvious and glaringly in my face, and these women are telling me that something's not right with me, something doesn't feel okay. But my doctor can't seem to figure out. They just keep sending me back home saying your blood work looks fine. So a friend of mine told me a story about herself and her best friend, and how when her best friend would have debilitating menstrual cramps to the point where she couldn't function, her friend's mom would tell them to suck it up. These are little things that do not disrupt a woman's life. We are strong, we are independent, and we keep pushing on. And this you're sweating the small stuff. Get up. I remember being very unnerved by this conversation because this meant that we were denying our own experience. We were gaslighting each other, saying our pain did not matter and that it was something to be ignored. Today, PMDD, premenstrual dysmorphia disorder, is legit. There are companies that are now making provisions for leave when this happens. Who's done the ketogenic diet? All the ladies who've done the ketogenic diet, if you did it with a male counterpart, whether it was a gym partner, whether it was your sibling, your husband, how many of you saw next to no results compared to how quickly your male counterpart responded to the keto diet. Diets like keto, Atkins, intermittent fasting, again, they're studied on men, they're not studied on women. And they don't take into account that women need much larger percentages of fat in their body. They make hormones. We have a different gut microbiome, and we actually have different gray matter. Our brains are built different, forget wired different. I read, I think in January, that heroin chic is back. And that implies that Kate Moss from the 90s, walking the runway with pretty much all her ribs showing, collarbones, sunken in cheeks. The drugged out skinny look is coming back, and I was mortified because there is no equity in looking at something the media thrusts in front of you and says, oh, you know what, this is what you need to look like this year. Round it off was so last year. Please just get skinny really quickly. No one, whether it's your friend's mom or whether it's the media, no one gets to tell you how you should look. What you really do need to know is that women are raised as martyrs in this society. The bigger the sacrifices you give, the more you are praised and exalted, or perhaps not even that. You have your own sense of satisfaction by making yourself a martyr. But you can never pour out of an empty cup. The best thing that you can do for yourself and anyone else is to be selfish. It all begins with taking care of yourself. Please remember that the best thing that you can do for yourself is to feed yourself healthy, clean food. There is no greater act of self-love. When you go to your next doctor's appointment, do not let him or her tell you that your symptoms don't matter. Educate yourself, advocate for yourself, love yourself.